guys. I know I've been gone for a while and I've been missing for a bit, but yeah, I've been working on the new studio essentially for Across the Tabletop, and let's go and have a quick look of what I've been able to achieve in the last couple of weeks. So I've got myself a nice little unit for all my storage, for all my goodies on there, marines, books. I still need to continue sorting out. There's loads of stuff still to go through. I've got some fake brick walls up, and then I've got my gaming table with some additional lighting that still needs to be worked on, but we're getting there. I've made up some mock-up LGT sort of terrain, so I've got something to do the competitive games on and with. In addition, I've got a load of other terrain as well from the GW sort of side of life, so it's just working through that and ensuring that they work with the game and the way that the game's being played at the moment with terrain. But until then, I decided that the best thing to do would probably be just to make some terrain that looked a bit like the GW, a bit like the LGT, that can be utilised on the show, on the channel, for you guys to understand what's going on. So I went out, a friend of mine picked up some PVC plastic, and then we built some terrain to go on top of them essentially. So they'll work just like the LGT crossed with the American sort of style GW terrain features. We got the small L's, we got one of the big L's that will sit on there quite nicely. I only got the one, I need to go and get another one, but in the meantime we'll be using this one. So yeah, and then we've got the L's that can be seen through, essentially still giving you a line of sight, but once you touch it you can see through it. But some smaller terrain, the GW type stuff that allows you to have the and then some of the stuff that I'm creating at the moment, I'm making up, mocking up, so with some piping, and yeah, I'm trying to make something quite unique for the table. So I'm trying to make some sort of piping system that will be, yeah, some air vents or whatever that allow a bit more functionality on the table and more interesting. But that's my game, that's my table at the moment, and you can see just full of crap as usual for a gamer, you know, Warhammer guy. Just paints everywhere, model stuff everywhere, but it's getting there, it's coming on slowly. And then all my interesting boxes down there full of stuff, and some miniatures. Okay, so that's generally what's going on in here at the moment and how things are going up. I mean, the biggest thing is sound and lighting. It's not soundproof, the lighting isn't perfect in here, it's not great, should we say, but we're working on it with a few, my dad and myself and a few of my friends are helping out with the soundproofing. So what I wanted to go through today is I went to a couple of things that have happened over the last couple of weeks while I've been doing all this, and I'll come back in a moment with an army setup, and I'll show you what's been going on. Welcome back. I've got the army set up. I understand the lighting, this is what we're talking about. As you can tell, the lighting in here is really bad. So a couple of light boxes and that should sort that out. It's on my list to do, so we'll go through. I got a phone call last night from a very good friend of mine, Darren from Twisted Dice. You might know him, you might not. Check out his YouTube channel. He does some amazing content with some Orc players, and then you've got Ace Face on the other half of it doing his Tyrannid reports, and Tal just getting back into the tournament scene himself there. So check out their channels, their channel there. It's amazing content. Been on it myself with my Imperial Fists. Didn't have the greatest luck against Darren's Orcs, but some games you win, some games you lose. It was fun, it was narrative, I had a great laugh. But he rang me up last night and said there's a game going on this weekend for doubles, and would I be interested in jumping on with him? I said yes, of course. So bringing my Imperial Fists to the tournament was the ideal thought went through my mind. So I asked him if he wanted me to be more of a support element to the army, and he went yes please. He's going to go aggressive with the Snagger boys and some trucks, and I said no worries, I'll do more of the fire support element. So I've brought on with me is a patrol detachment of 1,000 points. It's a doubles team, so it's 1,000 each. Restrictions are we're not allowed to have two. We can have the same army, so we can both bring Space Marines, but the shared amount of numbers is to a maximum of 3. So the rule of 3 officially works within both armies, so we couldn't both take 3 Relic Contemptors. We could, the army forged between ourselves could only take 3 in total. I did try and squeeze the third one in, but I prefer to have the suppressors over the 3rd Relic Contemptor. We'll see if that actually works or not, so fair one. It does mean that, yeah, what you see is what you get. So I got a Relic Contemptor with the Volkite and no missiles, no Cyclone missile launcher, and then the other Relic Contemptor has the Cyclone missile launcher. So the points are slightly different on both of those, but hopefully what that initializes is the reroll ones to be issued +1 to hit from the Tech Marine, and then the rerolls from the Chapter Master on the other. That goes into my HQ. So I brought the Tech Marine and the Chapter Master. Love the Chapter Master and his efficiency bubble that he gives out, so why not bring it to 1,000 points as well? Probably a little bit overcosted realistically for the points for the game, but yeah, he's a massive force multiplier, so why not? The Chapter Master I've got here today, he's got his Primaris Chapter Master, he's got his Relic Shield and his Relic Power Sword. I've given him the Relic for Eye of Hypnoth for the reroll ones, just to make that more efficient in the 1,000 points I've got. He's also got 2 Warlord traits, so I've taken the Hand of Dorn and the Master of the Codex, so it's additional D3 at the beginning of the game, and then an extra CP at every battle round. Not battle round, command phase, but essentially battle round. Because the way the rules are worded is, once we generate additional CP in the command phase, that has to be allocated to one of the commanding players. So we generate the CP, and then we issue that CP to the player, and then that player cannot then hand the CP over to the other player to be used throughout that battle round. So it means that if I can generate a CP and we generate one naturally, we can still both have 1 CP per battle round, or double up on that, 3d6 charge for the orcs if they need it, or for the 2 CP, or giving it to us for the bringing it into all doctrines or tank hunter or something like that. So the idea is to be able to maximize the efficiency of those CP requirements for those 2 CP stratagems. So that should be fun and interesting. We should have a bit of fun there. So yeah, so that's the Tech Marine. So that's the Chapter Master. The Tech Marine, I've given him Rites of War. And so I've spent an extra 2 CP on him, so the Rites of War and the Requisitum of Galamorth, which allows him to -1 to psychic test. So if we do come across 1,000 Suns Grey Knights army paired, they'll be -1 from their psychic test while within 18, and if they fail, they'll take on a 4 they'll take D3 mortal wounds. So that's my anti-psyker sort of element to. I've seen Tyranids players and things like that go down to this. So, and I've seen a 1,000 Sun army suffer because of the -1. Even though everything they got the bonuses to, taking a -1 for their psychic test is huge. So that's what his primary role is. He's got his Servitors, why not? 30 point Servitor unit, it's got to be done. Protect him, hanging out with him. And I've taken a patrol detachment, so it's 1 troop choice, and that's my 5-man intercessor unit there. Pointing all of their bolter rifles, not auto bolt rifles. I went with more of a fire support element instead of advancing forward like I normally do with them. So they're hopefully going to be sat back on an objective doing their fire support element. Now I was thinking the heavy ones for the longer range, but the reason why I went with the bolt rifles over the heavies and the assault ones. The assault ones I'm not moving forward, so I wasn't concerned about that. The orcs are going to be moved forward. I had enough firepower with the damage with long range from the suppressors, so I thought I'd go with the mid-range firepower for a lot. I'm losing the assault bolters, so I need to be able to do rapid fire 2 shots just to put out that extra damage or extra shooting sort of phase. So that's what they're doing. And then you might see in the middle, either side, I've got 2 quad heavy bolters. Love this model, really do, over the Forge World one. I can't remember where I got this one from now. I want to say, no, I can't remember. It starts with Cromlech. The Cromlech guys, I think it just looks amazing. I've got the Thunderfire cannons as well from there, and when they were good, the Thunderfire cannons when they were good. I think Cromlech do with some amazing alternative figurines, miniatures, and they're going to be just ran with 2 tactical marines, essentially, just helping them out. So they are vehicle artillery pieces, so they do benefit from the Tech Marine if I want to, but I thought I don't have a lot of firepower in 1,000 points for what I prefer or what I like to have. At 75 points, and was considering taking the las fusils with the eliminators, but that's only 2 shots. These pump out 12 heavy bolt shots, and with 2 of them, that's 24 heavy bolt shots. Yeah, at 36-inch range, moving 4 inches. So they have a 40-inch threat range. They are vehicles, so they don't suffer the -1. And I just thought, you know what, a 40-inch threat range of 24 heavy bolt shots, why not? Yeah, they haven't got the core, they don't benefit from the reroll bubbles or anything like that, but I just thought it would be amazing to have that many heavy bolt shots from a 1,000-point Imperial Fist army. So yeah, I don't think you can get it any cheaper than that. And I'm really gutted they don't come in squads, because yeah, I think if they came in squads, I'd just buy 9 of them and run, you know, 75 points each in a squad is just incredible. But I'm sure GW would eliminate that very quickly. So that's my 1,000 points army that I'm taking to a doubles GT 2-day 5 games tomorrow, as it's Friday the 12th now. And I can't wait. You know, it's a last minute call up. It's in Northampton. It's going to be fantastic. So that's what's going on there. The following week, I'm at Twisted Dice Devastation, and I'll quickly show the army list now I'm taking to that. So be right back. Okay, I was just talking about upcoming stuff. So I have a event coming up, Twisted Dice Devastation, in 1 week's time. That's down in Leighton Buzzard near Milton Keynes. And so I thought I'd show off what I'd be taking to that. After the London Grand Tournament, I considered, especially to the armies that I'd lost to, I didn't have enough combat threat. Like I said, I lost to Alex Harrison's and his Deathwatch army, and then I lost to the WTC captain, world champion captain essentially for the England team last year, and I lost to his Knights army. So the potential for combat for those particular armies were very difficult because of the 3 Redemptors and the 3 really good heavy hitting Knights that came in and just obliterated anything in combat. And as the first turn, I didn't get my super doctrine off against Alex's team, Alex's army, and I pushed out too aggressively. He was able to pick me off with his firepower against mine. And with the Knights player, I was up against someone who had an invulnerable save, and I didn't do very well on my dice rolls, and he did really well on his. And I probably maneuvered myself into a position where I should have held back, and I think first turn probably wasn't ideal for us. I would have preferred the Knights player to go to turn 1. So I had a little bit more potential on my side, but that's the way the dice roll. It's a dice game. You know, I can't take away from the players who won because they did really well. So what I took away from those 2 matches was I didn't have a big enough threat, in my opinion, to do in combat. So I thought my Leviathan, I'd drop one of the guns, one of the cannons, the auto cannon array, and I took the close combat siege drill. Now this does flat 6 damage against vehicles or 2d3 damage against everybody else. So the idea I had was to bring a ironclad dreadnought and have him as my beat stick, essentially running around the table doing the vehicle damage. But I've used him in a couple of games and he died quite quickly due to the fact that he doesn't have a 5-up invuln. He doesn't have a 2-up save. He's got a 6-inch move, not an 8. He does benefit from core, but if he's not getting there, if he's not getting into combat and he's not doing the damage, then he is a waste of the Chapter Master's ability. So I took off the auto cannon array from the Leviathan and put a siege drill on there. Yeah, and that's hopefully going to be the bit that I'm lacking in the close combat part of it. And as you can see, there's the Leviathan with his siege drill. Okay, now that wasn't the only consideration I had. I played the tournament down in Pompey, and I used attack bikes with multi melters, and I loved them. and then I dropped them from the LGT and I missed them, but I brought them back when I got back home again, a couple of weeks playing them, and I love the movement from them, but they're very particular in what they can do. They either take the kills on the vehicles or they don't, and they're very swingy in that sense. So you get a lot of melter shots, but when you're moving up the board and you're out your re-rolls and your ranges and things like that, they either they do really well or they do really bad. So they're not consistent, is what I'm trying to say. Is they're not consistent enough for the points cost and what they potentially give up on the table, because they're the counter charge and they get units. Your opponent's units can move onto them quite quickly, kill them, wrap and trap them. They give away the ability for the army to move against you faster. That was my issue, and I always wanted to have them doing a second roll, and unfortunately the second roll is always something that the enemy can jump upon you and utilize against you. So they were dropped, and in replacement I brought the Eliminators back, but then they weren't playing, so I decided, what the hell, I'll bring 3 of my Relic Contemptors back. I'll just try and squeeze them in. So I've got the 3 Relic Contemptors in. One of them doesn't have the missiles, but the others do. I have the Leviathan with the cannon, missiles, flamers. I think I'm going with the flamers. And then the Tech Marine to back them up, he's the same. I've taken Rights of War off him and given him the relic of Gallimorth, which is the -1 to psychic powers around him, because he's going to be wanting to stay with the group, being protected and buffing that lot. The Chapter Master has the Hand of Dorn instead of the Angel Artificer's armor, just so that I've got more efficiency in the shooting. I found that even though he has a 2-up save, no one was shooting at him until the last 2 turns. He's not being efficiently used as his maximum potential, so why not drop the armor? He doesn't do enough in combat. I don't know, I've tried him 1,000 times against armies to try and kill stuff in combat. He just doesn't, he's just not beat stick. He just doesn't do enough in combat, unfortunately. Like I said, my Tech Marine is more efficient in the killing phase in combat than my Chapter Master. Guarantee, hitting on 2s, I roll 2 1s. So 6 attacks, I always only get 4 on average. And then whatever I'm against, I'll drop 1 or 2. That means only 2 are going through. And if they've got an invulnerable save, 1 only goes through. Yeah, so I'm average doing 2 damage to, maximum doing 4 on average to a model. And if I'm going up against a Dreadnought, that's still only 2 damage or 1 damage in my case most of the time. So he's going to be there to support and re-roll everything. That's his primary job. I've taken the banner still. I love the fact of being able to shoot back when they die. It really does make the difference for the Eradicators and the Suppressors. And there are my Eradicators. I forgot to put them in. But yeah, there is still a unit of Eradicators, the heavy Eradicators. They just protect the heavy Eradicators from being shot for turn 1 because they don't want to take the firepower back. The Suppressors, if I'm putting them on the table, which I doubt it from now on, they're just going to be in deep strike. And then I've got the Eliminators that, depending on the army, can either sit back or sit in the middle of the table doing other jobs. So that's the sort of plan and idea in my mind of what the idea of the army should be doing and what it should be, how it should be played. So Chapter Master, Tech Marine and Ancient. I've got the 10-man Intercessors with the Assault Bolt of Steel, the 2 5-man Assault Intercessors, which are just amazing. The 3-man Eliminator Squad with the Las Fusils and the Bolt Carbine for the extra movement shooting. The 3 suppressor, a unit of 3 suppressors. I was toying up running 2 units of suppressors, but I couldn't justify spending the points somewhere else and what I would take off. And after seeing the results of how other models are doing in the environment at the moment and what they're capable of, I did go and purchase a Redemptor. So I'll be building this up this week, painting it for the competition next week. The list has been submitted, so I've got a week to get it done. So there's the opportunity to get it done. So get this painted, get it built, get it painted for next weekend. So yeah, that's the army. So there's going to be 5 Dreadnoughts, 3 with the ability to do all the shooting, and 2 with the ability to do shooting and close combat. That's the idea. They're going to be my beat sticks, you know, D3+3 for the Redemptor on everything, flat 6 against vehicles for the Leviathan, plus 2d3, so he pretty much kills anything himself. And that's the idea, is just to be and they get the benefit from the banner. So the Redemptor will also be hitting on 2s in combat with the Redemptor if he's nearby the banner, which is amazing. The Leviathan doesn't, but I'm hoping I can send him off one direction and he does one thing and then the Redemptor does another thing. That's the sort of plan of action in mind. I've borrowed a friend of mine's Redemptor and used it quite a lot. I've enjoyed it, and the firepower that it does dish out is scary, so why not? I will be running it with the plasma instead of the Gatling. I'll build the model so you can take both just in case. That's the sort of plan of action in my mind, so fingers crossed with that. I hope you enjoyed this. I mean, it's going to be a difficult one. I know that the list is adapting and changing due to the meta out there. We've just seen the FAQ and the balancing data sheet that's just come out, so I won't be going up against the mass amount of flyers. Fingers crossed anyway. Yeah, fingers crossed. So the Twisted Devastation has the new FAQs in place, because the list submission is today on Friday the 12th. So they're going to be taking into consideration the FAQ, hopefully. So there's going to be zero, there won't be, I reckon, I know there won't be the Orc 9 buggy list or the Admech 6 flyer list. So it's going to be the Death Guard, the Sisters, that are going to be competing for the top, with a new arrangement of probably the Speed War, if people have got enough bikes. They might have from previously. They might just throw a couple of the old fashioned bikes in to bring up the Speed War to be able to be using it. And then the Admech will probably go back to using just the infantry 180 odd blob infantry block possibility. I think that's the way forward for them. But you know what, it'll be interesting to see what they got, and that's the big thing, and get this Redemptor built. So I'll catch you later. Going to a doubles, so we're going to take some footage of that. Hopefully I'll get that edited and uploaded next week from Darren from Twisted Dice. Drop us down below if you're finding anything interesting in your games, what you should be using. I really want to try and get the quad heavy bolters back in. I just know they don't benefit from the reroll, so they're quite hard to manipulate within the game, and they're easy enough to be outmaneuvered. So yeah, check us out, keep in touch, drop us likes, email, subscribe, all the good stuff at the bottom. I'd like to hear what you're doing with your armies, so drop us photographs, send us photographs if you've got stuff. I'll put my email in there, and hopefully we'll have a chat about other people's armies and how they're doing. If you've got any questions about the armies, I'll do a Q&A in a couple of weeks with some questions if anybody's got any, and we'll answer those. I'll go through some of the processes if you want to know how I built the train, what I've used, instrument, things like that, because I think these sort of train pieces are quite easy to be built and put together. So if you need some train pieces like this being built, I'll walk you through the step-by-step of how I did it. There's still some stuff I'm working on and how to make it a little bit more efficient and effective and quick and easy and all that sort of good stuff. So drop us a like, drop us a question, I'll answer them. Catch you guys later.